We're living lives that we didn't even know to pray for. And that hit me. That hit me because the life I'm living right now, guys, let me tell you, I didn't pray for it. I didn't even know to pray for it. I didn't even know to ask for this. I didn't even know that like this level of safety, this level of calmness and peace existed. I grew up in such high functioning toxicity and anxiety that I didn't know that this way of living, this side of life existed until I just fought and run and fought and run and fought and run.
Like be driving me crazy, like, and my friends be like, it's not that deep, right? And the fam be saying, you're in your feelings, what? All I know is life is raggedy.
Hello, welcome back to the Reforming Pessimist podcast. It's your girlie Abanga. Hello. I'm trying to not make too much noise because my flatmates are around and I need to put this music off because, I wish I could literally record over music. I feel like I would sound so good on it. I feel like we're just so suited and so calming. With just like some nice vibey, soulful playing in the background and me just like talking over it. But then again, rights to music and all that. So, hey ho, let's start the episode. Hello. How have you all been? I hope you've all been good. I hope you're doing well. I hope winter's treating you well if you're going through a winter. And for all those folks that are in your summer right now, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. I'm really jealous of you guys. I went to Australia, so I know that Australians are in their summer right now, and I bet you're enjoying that heat, and I'm very, very jealous of that. Because, it's cold, it's brutal. UK winter is brutal. The other day, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I saw this guy who was a Canadian. I was about to say something else, but I should have. A Canadian guy living in the UK, and them thinking that the UK cold is much more harsher than the Canadian cold. And the comment section was like, yes, the UK cold is worse. The UK cold is worse. So, yeah, stop talking about it. It's so British of you when you're like, the weather. Hello, the weather. But hi, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you've been doing well. I hope you've been good. I hope life has been treating you well. Welcome to mine and my little cutie fruit drink. I'll be sipping on that through the episode because I need to for some reason. Oh, and some water as well whilst I go through the episode. Okay, today's episode, what are we talking about? We're talking about little changes. So the year is ending. I'm going to be releasing these episodes in the new year in 2025, guys. It's always here. We're going to release it in 2025, but I'm recording it before that and it's almost towards the end of the year. So it's like, kind of racking through my brain. And I'm at the moment off work due to sickness. And I was like, decluttering my room, like decluttering, like just moving things about just to keep busy so that I'm not like just sat there doing nothing. And I came across some stuff that I was doing years back and I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. So there's the stuff that I basically was jotting and journaling and writing down, which is about like little changes and small changes that I didn't see any much to it, but now I'm like, ooh, this could be really helpful to someone. So I'm hoping to talk about that and maybe hopefully it helps you if you're on your healing journey, if you're at the start, if you're in the beginning, if you're halfway through. And if you are doing anything as well, like as part of what I'm talking about, like holler a bitch, let her know, like comment, like whatever people say on these social media things that they do, and share with somebody. Hopefully it can help them anyway. But this, in hindsight, now I realize was really, really helpful to me. I have a lot of them actually, so I might do a few episodes around them because there's a few things as well. There's some things that I've written. I'm like, sis, you were smart. I'm reading. I'm like, huh? Is that me? English? Is this you? This is when a bitch doubts herself. A bitch doubts herself. This is what happened. This is why you become a pessimist. You don't even see your power. I didn't see my power. I don't know what's like a smart ass girl. Anyway, so I wanted to surround the episode around that. Not trying to make it too long. Let's launch into it. But before we do that, you guys already know. Check in. Let's do a check in. Okay, so I hope the sound goes off here and back.
Raggedy. So raggedy.
Anna? Or I was thinking she here, guys. I don't know. Anyway, so back. So how have I been? I've been doing really well. So as I've said, I've been off sick. I had an operation, which means that kind of affected my mobility a lot and stuff like that. But other than that, a bitch is doing well. Life, great. Okay, actually, let me do the fours. Emotional, great. Physical, we'll get there. We'll get there. Is it physical, emotional? Oh my goodness. What's happening to my head? Is it emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual? Great. Guys, it's Sunday today. I started with the Lord. Let me tell you, the gospel was playing. As a minimalist Christian, the gospel was praying. I was being in touch with God, all of that stuff. I am like a half-ass Christian, so guys, don't come to me for any. Some Christian will see me as the devil reincarnated. So my Christianity, grain of salt, grain of salt. But I started with the Lord, so it spiritually great, and whatever the other one is in my brain is not letting me think about right now, also great. I'm doing fantastic. I must say that this is the first time in my whole entire life I will say that I'm doing the best. This is the best I've ever been. This is the best I've ever felt, and this is just the best I've ever done. And I know there's not going to go back because again, like I always say, when you're a pessimist and you've always grown up in turmoil and things just falling apart constantly, it's just been chaos, and like literally you just stood there in a war zone. It's like literally stood in a war zone, like with bombs just literally dropping left, right, and center, and you're constantly anxious all the time, constantly depressed all the time, just surviving. There is this fear of that, oh, when I get here, it's going to go away. And I truly believe this not going to go away. I feel like so actually, with this checking as well, it's a good point. So this week, again, on Instagram, that's when you know a bitch is addicted. Another one of my vices I need to work on, guys, but we are coming. Because right now, I've lost a lot of my vices. And honestly, I need to keep hold on the ones, hold on them. I don't want to lose the other vices. I even feel sad when I lose my vice now, because I'm like, I'm healing, I'm doing well, but I'm the same time like, I need to do an episode on that. Grief around our vices. Anyway, or coping mechanisms, depending on however way you see them. So anyway, I was scrolling through Instagram, and this video popped up, because now Instagram is like, it's not who you follow or whatever that pops up. So this lady pops up, and is this video of her saying that, like, right now I'm making this air courtage or whatever she puts it, and I'm standing in my house and I am safe. I feel safe. And, I go to my work and people respect me. And, I'm going to meet my dad later on, even though, like, the way that she says, I'm going to meet my dad later, even though we didn't have a great relationship for a long time. Now we're working on our relationship and it's getting better. And now I'm living this life. And she was like, sometimes a lot of us we're living lives that, we've been praying for. She was talking about it from a 12-year-old perspective, actually. She was like, when I was 12, you know what I mean? I prayed for these things, and some of us are living in our prayers. We're living in our prayers being answered. And there was a line that she said that when she said it, it just got me. And that line was like, you're living lives that we didn't even know to pray for. And that hit me. That hit me, because the life I'm living right now, guys, let me tell you, I didn't pray for it. I didn't even know to pray for it. I didn't even know to ask for this. I didn't even know that, like, this level of safety, this level of calmness and peace existed. I grew up in such high functioning toxicity and anxiety that I didn't know that this way of living, this side of life existed, until I just fought and run and fought and run and fought and run, just kept running away from my environment. And that's how I got here. And that video was just like a breath of fresh air to me, because I'm like, if somebody could literally encapsulate or summarize the way I feel about my life, that's how I feel about my life. There's a lot of things that I do right now in my life that I'm like, I get overwhelmed by that. I'm working on how I get overwhelmed by it, because I'm like, girl, this is your life. This is your reality. You're really, truly living it. And it's not perfect, guys. Like, it's not like it's perfect, but it's beautiful. Like, and I see it as beautiful because I'm like, I never even dreamt of this. I never even imagined this. And that's why I'm not scared I'm going to lose this, because I know that, like, I'm still going to maintain this level of peace and this level of comfort for myself, because I have learned the importance of prioritizing myself, putting boundaries in place, doing the work on my healing, going to therapy, you know what I mean? Building community and having community around me that nourishes me and pours into me the way I'm pouring into them. Making sure that, like, I'm centering myself the way I center the people that I love. And it makes life brighter. It makes life beautiful. Maybe the life is not perfect, but it makes life beautiful. And in a sense, it's also helping me be less of a pessimist and seeing the optimistic side of life, which is crazy, right? So yeah, that's my check-in. So I'm doing really great. Other than physically recovering from surgery is not a joke, but I'm doing well. I'm happy. I'm I'm truly happy. And yeah, I'm just loving it. And the holidays will probably be over. So hopefully everybody had a good holidays and it wasn't too stressful and they had a great time and whatnot. Next year, actually, I feel like it will be a great, if I'm still doing this podcast, if I'm still doing committed to this podcast, yay! I'll hopefully do a holiday episode because I feel like it will be so important to us people who are struggling with pessimism, how the holidays feel for some of us out here. And it's not all jolly for a lot of us. Like the holidays could be a time of like grief, misery, dread, exhaustion. It could be so much. So by the time this come out, the holidays may all be over. So welcome back to reality and welcome back to normality and to work. Okay, so now let's start the episode. So 20 in the beginning. Let me stop playing about. I need to stop. Oh my god. The reason why I'm laughing is because it's like I'm going back and whenever I go back I think, oh god, 5 years ago, I was working at a call center. And like this was also like when I was really deep in my depression and anxiety. And if you listen to previous episodes or if I've released them at that, because I recorded a lot and didn't release, I probably will do that later. There wouldn't be video, there'll be audio, but you get what you get. But anyway, I had chronic depression and chronic anxiety for a very long time, from since I was a kid. It was a reaction to what I was going through. And so I was very high functioning in them. I'll say that. So things were really tough, but I knew that it was an issue. I knew there was a problem. And I was like, okay, I'm a kind of a solution oriented person. So I'm always like, okay, how do I figure this out? How do I resolve it? How do I change it? How do I, go about things? And I've always felt like because I didn't have a great foundation per se, it's always great for me to read, listen to podcasts, just talk to people, observe, hear things. I think that's how I've really educated myself and grown myself as a person. So I was working at a call center and, in call centers, like sometimes you get really peak periods where it's like crazy busy and you don't have peace of mind. And there's periods where it's like, it's really dead, like really dead because nobody's calling because they don't care about whatever. So in those moments, you have the opportunity to kind of sit down. Some of us will sit down and twiddle their thumb or chit chat, whatever. But I thought during that moment, okay, why don't I use that moment to read, right? So at that time, I was reading a lot of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's work, which was really fascinating to me. And I probably will come back and talk about that because her books are phenomenal, amazing, really eye-opening to me in terms of like, the Black African experience, either through immigration or even through back home and her lens in terms of like womanhood and womanism and feminism and stuff like that. She's a very fascinating author. So I was reading her work and I finished reading all the books that I had and I was like asking my friends if they had any book. And my friend Sita, she had this book that she lended me. Sorry, Sita, I stole the book from you. I never gave it back. And I still have the book with me till today. Sorry. Sita has a podcast called Transforming with Sita. And I need to collab with her actually at some point. I stole this book from her. I feel so bad. But anyway, stole this book from her. So the book, let me get it. It's called, so if you can see it, Flip the Switch. And it's by Jez Rose. And the synopsis of the book is basically, what is it that despite trying, some people struggle to achieve whilst other people appear to achieve quite extraordinary results? Could the way you think, behave, or your approach to life be holding you back from reaching your full potential? So it's all about potential and whatever. I didn't really see it as something that could benefit me in terms of like, my mental health journey or whatever. But I was just like looking to read books. So, and I've never really read self-help books per se at that point. I wasn't really aware of what self-help was. I didn't know about the self-help industry and all of that stuff. I was just kind of like reading books and kind of surviving. So like, it wasn't really a thing for me. Anyway, so reading that book, there was a chapter, I think it was chapter 6. So when I got to, there was a few exercises in the books, which I love about books like this. It's like similar to books like Adult Children of Emotionally Mature adult children of emotionally mature parents, they have these exercises in them that like you do when you're reading them that really helps you to kind of like validate yourself or teach you something or whatever. So in this chapter with like making small changes, he had this really fascinating idea where he had the, what's it called, A plus B test, and then there's a C aspect of the test as well. And the A plus B test, basically what it culminated to, sorry, I'm looking now because I'm actually looking at whatever and stuff like that. I'm going to read them out to yourself because I think this is going to make this episode really cute. The A plus B test is that there's the A part of the test, which is the where your life is at right now, where like basically where you are right now, like currently, like what are you doing, what's going on in your life, what's so much and so forth. And then there's the B side of the test, which is that anything that describe where you want to be. So like, you know, where do you want to be? You know what I mean? And then there's the C part, which is that things that need to happen in your life or what you need to change to basically make what the things that you want to happen in your life happen, right? So I picked up this test, and then this was in 2018. Knowing myself and being an overachiever, I did this test in 2018. Then I repeated the test again in 19. And I also repeated the test in 2020. And now more so I just do goals. Now I just set myself goals and like what I'm doing with my goals and stuff like that. But the reason I wanted to talk about this test in particular is because it took me back to where I was at that time. I was 24, 25, 24. At that time, I was prepping to start my master's. During that time, I was going through one of the worst periods of my life, like the worst periods of my life, and just trying to just keep forward and keep going. It was just like there was no breathing air, room to be like, oh, things are going to look up, things are going to get better. Like there was none of that. It was just like, okay, it's hell, it's burning. I remember during that time, one of my favorite things that I used to say was, I'm just trying to do my time. I'm just trying to do my time. You know, life is shit. When you say you're in prison, life is a prison. You know, it's like you are outside in the world, but you feel like you're in a prison. That's one of my favorite sayings I used to say at that time. Oh God, 24. And another thing I used to say was like, I was struggling with my faith a lot at that time during that period. And I'll be like, I cannot wait to meet God because I need to understand why. I just need to understand why. Like, sir, why? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Now, fast forward to now, I'm like, oh, it all makes sense. It all makes sense because now I'm thanks to radical acceptance and a lot of work and a lot of therapy and stuff, like I know it all makes sense to me. But then it didn't. It was like, yo, like why? Like why? So I kind of wanted to share this because I'm like, sometimes we don't see the process, we don't see the work, we don't see how people get to where they get to. We kind of see the jumps, right? You see the cliff notes, you know, the Instagram. Let's call it the Instagram. The Instagram. So you see the Instagram and you think, oh my God, it had it so good, and wow, you're traveling and your life is amazing. And a lot of people don't see the work. They truly, truly do not see the work that goes into you know, to be in this. So I'm going to try and I'm going to focus on the A's because I feel like there's no point in doing the B's and the C's in particular because it's like where I was right then. And I just want to talk about where I was right then because I think that it helps, you know what I mean? Because there were things I might share some of where I wanted to be during that moment as well, but like I'll just summarize where I wanted to be at the end. But I feel like where I was right then was more important. It's more important to people who are really struggling as well and may have the same feelings that I did. And I think, you know, they're alone or whatever, to realize that like, yo, it's a journey, and to see like, you know, I'm making a transition and I'm moving on. So because I'm making a transition and moving on, it's you can see somebody's like crossed over, and that means that there's a potential for you to also cross over if you really center yourselves. You can see it's different types of paper. This is one of the papers. It was one of the papers that was given to me where it had like company brand and stuff on it. My life right now, I was saying I'm focused, I'm scared, I'm stressed, I feel dull, but I'm also faithful. I am stable financially because at that point I had not been stable financially for a long time, and I had a good job. I worked in sales. I was selling like insurance products. So like that was really helping me financially. And I was also putting a lot of financial boundaries in place. So that kind of made my life a little bit more easier. I was in very, very bad physical health. That one, it took us a while. We'll talk about body one day. We'll talk about it. We'll come to it. I was focused, like I was looking at career progression because, and the reason I mentioned career progression where I was right now because I was going to do my master's, and that made me really hopeful for the potential of what life could be during that time. So I was doing things as well, even though my life was like at its worst, I was also doing things as well, which I'm actually really proud of myself for that. I said psychologically working on it. I actually later on down the year, that year, I end up having a burnout, a really massive burnout year after I wrote this list. Actually, I don't know if this will reflect on the 2019 list. We'll see. I think it might reflect on the 2019 list, but I ended up having a massive burnout and I ended up in therapy. That was so revealing, but revealing as in I caught how the revelation or how revealing it was 3 years later, 4 years later. Actually, I was 25 when that happened. Like it was so revealing, it went over my head. I didn't catch it. There were the things the therapists were telling me that I didn't catch because I was like, I was in denial or I was resistant to what the therapist was trying to help me with. It took me 4 years to catch a lot of the things that that very wise therapist was telling me. So yeah, as I also said, unsure of everything. Baby, it's fine. If you're in your 20s and you're unsure of everything, it's okay. Your 20s are one of your most chaotic time in your like, who child, nobody will pay me to go back to my 20s. Nobody. I mean, but then even cry, if they give me cry is like a Ghanaian word, so you might hear it a lot. But if somebody gave me like 20 million, I knew that my 20-year-old brain would be like, I trust myself. I trust myself as a 20-year-old to really do well with 20 million. But I wonder what it would do to change me as a person. I don't know if I want to change. But anyway, you didn't pay me to go back to my 20s. That's what I'm bringing to. But yeah, I was very, very unsure of everything. I was just like so confused, and I was just like just waking up every day and just doing it and just hoping that something would land, like something would stick. So it's a very normal feeling. That I would say that's very, very normal feeling for a lot of people. It's not even just for people who are struggling with their mental health and stuff like that. It's quite normal. I was a lack of confidence. Yeah. Yeah. That I performed confidence during that time. I performed confidence, but I definitely didn't have it. I did not have it at all. My confidence was literally like in a toilet at that point. I think it's a year later that I really started to work on my confidence, but I had always had a persona. I put on a persona. I performed. I was a great, great performer. I think that most people who struggle with mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, or whatever, there's an insecurity to like the illnesses that we carry that you perform in a way that make you seem normal or what you think is normal to people and society so you can belong. It's a conversation I have with a lot of people I know who also struggle with their mental health as well. And it's that we have to perform in a certain way so that we can belong and fit. But I truly believe that a lot of us are, I know people don't like to use the word, but a lot of us are crazies out here. And we need to wear the crazy as a badge of honor because it's like you're crazy not because, and it may seem offensive, but you're crazy not because of you. You're crazy because life is literally in your environment, and so much has put you in a place for you to act what they deemed crazy. I'm reacting to what is being pushed onto me. And therefore, if you call me crazy, yes, I am a crazy. Thank you. Thank you very much. At least we're the fun ones. You're the fun bunch. You boring ass people. Imagine having a crazy person in your life. You'll be entertained. Come on. But yeah, the confidence was just not there. Pressured. Jesus Christ. Pressure. Pushing down on me. Pressing down on me. No matter stuff. Now, let me tell you something. What I have done is I have flicked that pressure off me. I have. When it comes, I'm like, But yeah, I was very much under a lot of pressure. I have always been under a lot of pressure since I was a kid. The amount of pressure that was required of me as a young person was abysmal. And it speaks to the incompetence of the people I had around me. The incompetence of the people I had around me. So it makes it sad to say this, but I called myself goddamn lazy. I put on the list where I was right now that I was lazy. Guys, I was lazy. What a lie. What a lie. These are some of the lies that we tell ourselves, guys, when we're in that place. These are some of the lies we tell ourselves. That was a lie. That was a massive, massive lie. Was working twice as hard, 3 times as hard. At that point, I was doing my call center job. I was also doing like crazy over time because I was trying to save for my master's. And I think that I equated laziness to being like not being able to wake up so early in the morning on Saturdays, do chores, go and look after people, go and support extended communities, extended people. instead of thinking you are doing so much as a single young person who's solely responsible for yourself and other people, not just financially, but emotionally as well. And also trying to push yourself forward to get yourself where you need to be. I never saw it that way. I'm more sorry for like, why don't you have enough time to be able to do what the whole world is asking of you instead of focusing on yourself? And now, like, in a healthy place now, I'm correlating where I was to other people who were my age, who were also doing what I was doing. And they were actually focused on themselves, and they were even overwhelmed, just focused on themselves alone in their life compared to having other people and other people relying on you and having communities like relying on you and showing up. And I goddamn call myself lazy. And again, it speaks to sometimes when you are at your lowest point and sometimes when you are literally beaten down, the things that you say to yourself because you're not able to keep up, when you're not able to keep up because it's not humanly possible. Like what I was demanding of myself was not humanly possible. This is why it's so important to be graceful with yourself, guys. This is what I mean by grace. When I talk about it all the time, this is what I mean by grace. In that moment, I should have known to be graceful with myself, but I didn't know what even grace was. I didn't even know, I even understood what grace was, because what I thought of was like I needed to be for everybody instead of for myself. I wanted to show up for myself, but I also wanted to show up for my community and for the world. And in that case, because I couldn't handle all of that, I equated that to being lazy instead of just being, it's not conducive, girl. You're gonna burn out. And I did. See, I even foreshadowed it before. I was talking about it before. I said I was not creative, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't at that moment. I'm a very creative person, and unfortunately, I lost as things got tougher for me. Like after my teen life, as things got tougher, I got, how would you put it? I just lost more and more of my creativity, and it kind of like just disappeared. And that's why I'm doing this now, because I'm like, I now have the opportunity to be creative and do the things that I want and have fun with it. And of course, now I'm back here and I'm like, let me just put myself out there. Who knows, right? So it's like kind of really recuperating the things that I want. Work and sleep. Jesus Christ. And that was it. I was working and I was sleeping because I was so tired because I was doing so much. I was literally work and I'll sleep. I work and I'll sleep. I was just doing the best that I can to just survive every day, every day. Pessimistic of thinking. And then I followed that right up with lack of positivity. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yo, you get the brand right. Reforming pessimist, because at that point there was no positivity. But like I think what it wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It wasn't. And sometimes that is the truth. That is the real fact of the matter. You do not have any positivity because there's nothing about your life to be positive about. There is nothing. Literally nothing. Even though I said scared before, I also said afraid. Damn. This is saying, is this a theme? And now that I'm also again in a good place and I'm very healed in a lot of places, so I'm aware, I know what those words mean now to me. I do know what those words mean now to me. And I'll probably hopefully talk about it at some point. But yeah, I do know what those words mean to me now. Yeah, I was in a very fearful place at that time. I was in a very, very fearful place at that time. For a very long time. In a lot of space in my life, I was very, very afraid. I was very, very afraid. It took me a while to get over the fear and just be like, yeah. So what? But it's something I'll probably talk about later on down the line. Unseen. One thing I will say though is that is true, but also untrue. It was true because I was like, oh, I don't feel seen. But it's also untrue because I was seen by a lot of people that loved me, but I didn't see them because I wanted to be loved by a specific group of people. And I wasn't getting the love from those specific group of people because in my mind, I felt like those group of people were the one that was meant to love me. I didn't know that there was other forms of being loved. Right now, I said I'm one of the most loved people ever. I'm loved on. Like, I'm so loved on. It's crazy, guys. Like, crazy. Like, I'm just so blessed. I am just so blessed. But at that point, I didn't feel seen because I wanted a specific group of people to see me. But I was seen. There were so many people around me who saw me, who thought of me, who loved me. But I didn't receive, or I wasn't accepting and receiving their love. And that's just another thing that probably I'll have to address in another episode because otherwise this is going to go for so long. Unappreciated, yay. Also, another something that is true and also false as well, because there were people in my life who appreciated me in those moments. Like, again, it's like similar to the same thing of the unloved thing. I was expecting appreciation for a group of people, but unfortunately, I was getting from other groups of people, I wasn't allowing myself to receive them. So that's the same kind of theme to the unloved bit. Emotional, because yes, I was very emotional. My depression was at its heightened form at that point. I was literally during that period crying every night. I literally had this thing where I'll go to work, finish work, maybe go cry in the bathroom, like go cry in the toilets in the office, then go back and then put a smile on and be like, hello, welcome to what would you like to buy? Like, what's your product you're looking for? Like, put my call center voice on, pull the performance persona on, and then I'll just walk home, take a shower, get into my bed, and I'll just cry. I'll cry for hours and hours and hours. At the moment, I'll be crying. I'll literally cry every day. And I remember crying so much because that was the first time in my life as well, because I bottled up so much. I was one of those people who were bottling up so much. So I bottled up so much for years and years and years and years. And when I got to my mid-20s, particularly when I turned 24, my emotions started to burst because people that I had kind of like disassociated for decided to come back into my life. I was being triggered all the time, and I would just cry and I'll just imagine a loved one, or a supposed loved one, embracing me, because I was like, I needed that warmth. I needed that comforting. I needed somebody to come and comfort me in that moment, but I was doing it alone. I was like basically suffering alone. I was suffering in silence. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just like kind of suffering in silence. So the emotional bit, I was like really understand of it. But again, these are like this, like we always think that we are pessimistic, but there's nuggets of us that sprinkle optimism that we don't maybe want to catch. And this is one of them. For instance, when I said that, like, stable financially, that was a sprinkle of optimism. When I said a career progression, that was a sprinkle of optimism, because there were things that were going well in my life. It wasn't everything that was going poorly in my life. But sometimes when you're in a pessimistic mindset, you want to think everything in your life is going poorly, everything is going bad. When actually that's not the case. And this is one of the good ones as well. The next one is ready. I don't know why, but I wrote it back. Ready as in I was ready for whatever was gonna come. I was ready. And that was optimism right there. That was optimism right there. I just couldn't think of it that way then. But that was literal optimism right then. I was ready for whatever was gonna come. And also there was a question of who am I? I was like, I didn't understand who I was. I was like, who am I? Like, who am I? Like, who am I, basically? And the next one was, I went even with the who am I, and I said loss of identity. Because I was very much aware of, like, I didn't have an identity. I didn't know who I was, and I had lost my identity. So that's very fascinating as well. And then the next one is mentally drained, which facts. From that whole list, facts. And then the last one is bored of life. My God. Bored of life, Fascinating. And then now life is never boring. Always exciting. I think I may have to do 2 episodes of this because it's going to be really fascinating. I'm going to do the 2019 and 2021s separately, but I feel like it's going to be really fascinating doing these 2 episodes separately, because I feel like there's just so much to talk about in terms of the things that I wrote. Instead of just like cramming them all in one episode. So basically that was the A side of the test. And then there was the B side of the test, was anything to do, describe where I want to be. And how do I want to feel afterwards? So with that second part of the test, I was like, I'm going back to school. So that was like a positive. So that's good. These are the positives to combat the negatives, the negative way I was thinking during that period. So going back to school, I said going to therapy, which I did. I ended up starting going to therapy. I had been to therapy a couple of times. One because, my teachers forced me, and then the other, we didn't really take it seriously. But then I knew that I needed to go to therapy because I knew I was really suffering and I needed help. And I was like stepping back from things. The fact that I knew that I needed to step back from things is like really fascinating, because I realized that I just didn't have the power and control to be able to resolve and fix a lot of things. So like stepping back from things was just kind of the best way to go about it. And also when I said stepping back from things as well, I said that's what makes me feel pressured, because I was like taking on things and feeling pressured. And I understood that like there was a need to take a step back. There was a need to take a step back. That's a true sign of emotional maturity and intelligence, and knowing how much I was capable of and how much I wasn't capable of. This is very fascinating, actually. I'm reading this book, I'm like, girl, is this you? Is this you? I said reading, which I've done well too. I've read a lot since then, actually. I've read so much, which has really thought of me, which has really informed me. In particularly, like, some of the direction I've gone on to be the person I am today. So grateful for that. Listening to music to clear my mind. Oh my goodness. And you know what I've realized, when the good sign of me doing poor mentally is when I don't listen to music. I realize that when I'm doing well mentally, I listen to a lot of music because I love music. Music is like one of my most healing, creative things to like be in touch with. It doesn't matter what type of music. I'm very eclectic in terms of the music I listen to. But when I listen to music a lot, regularly, that's when I know I'm mentally doing really, really well. Successful, of course. A bitch wants to be successful. Yes. Proud. And honestly, I am very proud of myself. It took me a while to get to the place, of being proud of myself, but I'm very, very proud of myself. Happy with myself. So these are the things of where I wanted to be. And I am very, very happy with myself in my whole entirety. I love myself, guys. From the head, from the tip of my scalp, every hair that's coming off it, to the tippy tips of my toes and my crusty ass foot palm, what's it called, feet palm, because I don't scrub it enough, to everything. I love myself so much. I am so grateful for myself so much. I'm so appreciative of myself so much, because you guys do not understand how yourself gets you to where you need to get to. That's why we need to stop hating on ourselves and beating ourselves down and telling ourselves that we are not good enough, or we are bad, and we are this, and we are that. Because the amount of things that you do to sustain yourself, to make yourself survive and be here and not give up and not commit, as people now are using the word unalive instead of suicide, but unalive yourself, like the amount of effort for you to not love yourself. Come on, you have to. There's nothing in this world that makes you the shittest person, because you're not. You have not committed the worst sin in the world, no matter how bad, like no matter what you've done to survive, you have not committed the worst sin in the world. You are the product of your circumstances. You are. Love for myself is next. That just the whole thesis. Fall in love. Meet someone I'm happy with. I have fallen in love a lot with a lot of people now, and I'm happy with a lot of people right now. I don't want to talk about my love life, so yeah, let's brush up that quickly. Travel, guys. I have traveled so much. People will talk about travel escapades at some point, but I've traveled so much. I've done that. Be comfortable. I am comfortable now. I am so comfortable. Oh my God. Higher earnings, which I'm a very ambitious person career-wise. So yeah, that is a given. That is just definitely a given. It's not even like, yeah, that's facts. Healthy, definitely healthy. This is the healthiest I've ever been my whole life. It's the healthiest I've ever been my whole life. So I would take that. I also put weight loss on there because I was like, oh my God, I was just like not happy with myself. Not because I didn't love myself as a big person. I really love myself as a big person, actually. But it's just because of like health reasons and stuff like that. So, but that I'm working on. We'll see how it goes. Walking miles without being tired. Because the thing about depression is that when you're depressed, you're in bed all the time. You're not moving. You're not walking. You're not doing anything. You're just not active. You're just like there because you're just like so tired. You're so drained. Your body just doesn't want you to move. And the only energy that I can conserve, I put that into work. Because I was like, I need to pay my bills. I need to so because I had myself to take care of and others to take care of. So I could not fuck up when it came to my bag. I just couldn't. So I just got my bag, and then everything else was neglected. Like physical health was neglected. Like everything was neglected. But I'm happy to report. I'm happy to report that I've done so many walks, so many miles of walks. One of my favorite one I actually did was a few years back after my mom died. Me and my girlfriend Louisa, we went on a walk around Kew Gardens, and I don't know if anybody's been to Kew Gardens. It's massive, so beautiful and so massive. And we just walked around the whole park, just looking at the different trees, the different flowers, the different styles. It was phenomenal. I love walks like that. And I recently did a hike when I was in Perth, Australia recently, to Perth Hills. Now, I didn't walk miles. I walked miles to get to the hills. I walked. It's part of the walking. We'll take it. Look after myself. My God, this is so beautiful. And I looked after myself, and I do. And the behavior change, which was the C, things that needs to happen in my life for these changes to happen. So things that I need to make happen in my life to make these changes happen. And I put believe in myself, stop saying I can't do it, stop being a victim of my circumstances. Fellow people, are you hearing me? Stop being a victim of my circumstances. I'm going to repeat myself again. Stop being a victim of my circumstances. Victimhood is your biggest enemy. Your biggest enemy if you want to go somewhere, So yeah, that's very straightforward. Start looking at things positively now. That is easier said than done. Very easier said than done. Be kind to myself. And I think that after that period, after my burnout, I really started to be kind to myself. It took me a while, but I started to be kinder to myself. Changing like habits I put down there. Waking up earlier. Guys, I have still not fixed that. I still sleep too late. I still sleep too late. Get out of the house when I don't have things planned. The depressed me was like, sis, get out of the house. Like, get out the house, get out the house. Read more, which I have done. Travel more, which I have done. Be more comfortable, which I am now. It took me a while, but I am. I said, failure is an option. Start again. Failure is definitely an option, and start again. Very straightforward. I love myself for that. And you're doing a good job. Stop beating yourself down. I'm going to end this episode with that. You're doing a good job. Stop beating yourself down. Stop. Now, did I do that? Yeah, it took me a while. But I got there. In the end. So this was a 2018 list. This was my first ever list I did, actually. Let me know your thoughts. But if you want to like give this A/B test a thing, give it a try. I'm going to do I did an episode for my 2019 one, or maybe should I save it for next year actually, and do that, because I feel like that'd be really great doing them on a yearly basis as a thing, at the end of the year, in terms of A/B tests, in terms of where I saw myself in 2019 and where I am now, and what I'm thinking about. Because if I do them all in one sitting, I feel like it's going to be a lot. So I feel like that's my mind in 2019. I'm going to keep the rests, and I'm not going to read them, because when I read them, I'm like, I said, ooh. And I'm like, it was a good thing I kind of like did a blind reading of them, which is like really good. So I'm going to keep that for next year, 2019 for next year, and then 2020 for the year after. And then probably will be the end of it, if I'm still doing a podcast. But I'm looking at something that I wrote in 2018 at 24. And 6 years down the line, I'm looking at the changes in perspective and way of thinking at where I am now. And I'm also looking at the changes that I've made in my life and the place that I'm in my life right now. In all honesty, I'm just so grateful to be here. You know what I mean? I'm grateful. The work was hard. Guys, it was brutal. This is about climbing Mount Everest. Like, this is maybe even more than Mount Everest. It's like going to hell and then walking through hell and then coming back. But you know what? If little old me can do it, I'm not special. I'm not that intelligent or more intelligent than a lot of us out here. I'm just some girl who was born in Ghana, who didn't have much, and now is doing the best that they can for themselves. You know what I mean? And sometimes we get lucky. We encounter some luck. We encounter some privileges. And it's so important that we keep keeping a keen eye out to spot our privileges and our lucks so that we exploit them to the max to be able to benefit and help ourselves. But I hope that with this, me reading back to what I wrote in 2018, and now I hope that that kind of give you an idea of like the journey and the process and how long it can take for someone to get to where they need to be. What I would say in reflection of this is that I think that at that point my healing had definitely begun, because I was reflective. I was thinking about things a certain way. I was questioning myself a lot. And I think that it's good when you're in a place where you're questioning yourself, because that means that your journey is literally starting. For the folks who are starting, you've not started questioning yourself and, you're just looking for something and and discover me. I hope that this is also telling you that you're starting, you're in a great place, you're starting, and well done to you. Honestly, well done to you. Well done. Like, big up yourself, guys. Like, big up yourself. You've done so well. But yeah, I am gonna go and eat. Because if you're just hungry, I hope this episode is entertaining, and I hope that it gave you some thoughts and some practices that you can maybe put in place to help you in your healing and in your journey and how you're going about it. It's work, guys. We're doing work, but the work yields great results. That's what I really want to emphasize on here. And I'm not selling pipe dreams or anything. It yields great. So I'm not saying that it's going to be uber perfect and it's going to be a movie. That's fiction. I'm talking about the realistic aspect of it. Like, it gets better. I truly believe it. It gets better because it got better for me. You know what I mean? Either because of luck or because I put in the fucking goddamn work. Like I literally put in the work to make sure that like I have it this way. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, thank you so much for listening to Reform Pessimist podcast. I really would appreciate if any of you who are listening, like comment, like tell me what you liked about it. If you have any thoughts, if you have any perspective, if you've tried anything else that you want to share with me, so I would love to hear about it. I normally put the email in the episode notes, so please email me if you want to. If you like me emailing me, I'll really appreciate to hear from you. And like the podcast episode if you like it, please share it with people if you think that they need it, because there's a lot of us crazies out here, like I said. If you have a loved one, or if you think it will help or benefit somebody in terms of what I'm saying, please share it around. I really want to help people. I really want to like empower people. I really want to encourage people. I feel like this is my calling. And yeah, I hope to see you on the next one, and I hope you find it fun. Love you lots. Bye.
Raggedy. 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 So raggedy.